going on in this realm. And you're just one of those people that's really tapped in.
Yeah, the thing of it is, all of us can probably be tapped in, but you have to want to. A lot of it is people that they don't want their paradigm to change. They don't want their
sorry. I just want to say right now, pardon, but we're just now going live on YouTube. So we'll back up with that. And hi, everyone. Julia here with Sonja from the Tree of Knowledge channel. And whenever I get a chance to get the internet again after this time, I will post her channel in the description. If you're not subscribed to Knowledge, you need to be. She has some great stuff. And we were just talking about how everybody has abilities in a way, right, Sonja?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking about being tapped in and wanting to know what's going on in our reality. And the thing of it is, the people that are not tapped in is because they really just don't want to know. They don't want their apple cart, tipped over, and they'll have to pick all the apples up and put them into a new cart. Basically, they don't want their foundation to be messed with. And some people will fight viciously for the foundation to stay intact. And that's why they comply. Are you still there?
Yeah. Sorry, I was talking, but I was muted. Yeah, and then there are the errants who comply to anything, and we're also figuring out how powerful we are. We're divine creator beings, and we create this reality. And once you're aware that you create your reality, and you clear out all that negative programming you have inside you, which requires shadow work or emotional healing work, whatever you want to call it, and you manifest the life you want for real. And that's just one aspect of being self-aware, but starting with that self-awareness is so key. Would you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of problem is that most people have been so indoctrinated from birth to just be, I don't know, mundane, typical, atypical, that you were basically rewarded if you were going along with a certain agenda. And if you didn't see it that way, you're actually ostracized. And through your media and your TV, we're always putting out Superman's going to come in and help you, when in reality, we are the super men and women, and we're the ones that make the next frame in this reality. But if you have a bunch of controllers who want the reality to go into their dark, negative agenda, they're going to convince you you're nothing, you're no one. Why should you ever stand out?
Right, and that's why they had all these and inquisitions and things like that, because when people do come into the know of how powerful we are, they don't want that information to spread. But for whatever reason, the cat's out of the bag now, and everybody's catching on with the internet. It's just an amazing time. And it makes you think of what Jason and Bashir's at Archaics is saying, that 2178 is going to be the end of this cycle, of this simulation, and then there'll be another one, and some people will graduate and some people won't. How do you see all that?
Well, I see that you don't have to wait to that point. You have to do it now, in the now. I always talk about the now is in front of us, behind us, during us, in our present. It's like a figure 8 turned over on itself. And one of the main reasons you can see ahead is because it's just another part in that point of the now. And I see that it's just like your being, like your individual inside of you. You have to wake up now, not years from now, but now, so that we can have this reality at that point in this supposed future, which is still all in the now. And of course, I see that there is a part of us that will never wake up, but the rest of us will eventually get to that point. And it'll still take some time, but right now we are accelerating. Have you noticed that even 5 years ago, more people are awake now than they've ever been even back then? Of course, it's happening now.
So you think the 100 monkey effect is possible to shift the paradigm into
I
a better
absolutely
vibration?
know it is. I know it is. We are all, believe it or not, connected. We are connected through the ether. We are connected through our auras. We are connected through the vegetation. And that's even one that most people don't know. Everything around us is a form of sentient being, even if we don't comprehend it and we don't understand it. Think about the trees being a neural network into this entire reality, and everything that you go into, your aura is around, and it's transmitting information back and forth to even the vegetation. And through that neural networking through the vegetation is another way, or think of them as like telephone poles between us, like obelisks. You know how obelisks were in our reality all over the place at one point? Those were the telephone poles, just like the trees are in nature. So yes, everything is interconnected.
Yeah. So I guess the obelisk or attack, and the trees are just the natural,
Yes.
the natural tech. And, all the technology is based on us anyway, on humans, basically. Telepathy is just what we're doing now, being able to communicate, instantaneously at a long distance, and just everything. We just have all these abilities that get overlooked. And I heard you bring up about some crystals that you came across, and the whole crystal technology. I've even heard that we used to be silicon based. So what's your take on all?
Well, I have done videos on this where I talk in my earlier videos. You have to go back a couple of years. And I talk about us being a silicon-based reality. That is why everything here is silicon. The majority of things in this reality are silicon and still carry the silicon base in it. If you break everything down on a small level where you can look through a microscope, you'll see that we have crystals inside of us. Well, where do you think that came from? It's a leftover from a remnant of what we were at one time and what we will be again once we elevate out of this again. I talk about the fall of humanity, and that was because we really wanted to have a corporeal existence and know what that was about. And at that point, we became corrupted because with that existence, well, here comes the corruption, because now we're dealing in negativity. And the more solid we became, the more carbon-based we became, the more the shorter our lifespans became. We realized that we weren't infinite in these shells, and we wanted to have what we were, but we wanted to keep our ability to be human. So we wanted the both realities. We wanted the best of both worlds and tried to combine them into one, and it really didn't work out well. I mean, I look around and I think, well, because we are so carbon-based and because everything can truly affect us in these avatars, we can be manipulated because we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be in agony. We don't want to be hungry. We don't want all these terrible things that come along with this 3D reality. And hence the corruption sets in.
Right, but at the same time, adversity really helps us to grow and develop too. So it's one of those kind of tricky situations, but it can be a really positive, nurturing environment that helps you grow as well. I guess adversity is not required.
Yeah. When I look into why we fell, it really had to do with just another experience. What it would be like to truly be in a 3D reality, to be that compressed into shells and to experience things that you cannot experience when you're not in the 3D reality. I mean, when I look into what we were before we became these carbon-based deities, because we are deities, we really didn't know about negativity. We did not know about the want of something. This reality let us experience what it is like to want something, to truly want something. And it's interesting. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't have done this. Of course, I have done it because I wanted to have that too, because it does add to your overall being of realities, what it's like. It's like going into different dimensions. I did a video once called the kaleidoscope, and I was talking about the different realities where you could be in like cartoon land or paint land or what have you, depending on what frequency you're on. Same base material, but putting it into a different frequency, giving it a different form, gives you a different experience. And it's all very interesting, all not to be bored and to experience everything. And of course we do. We don't want to be bored, so we want to do this and we want to do that. It's like going to the amusement park and wanting to do everything.
And I think I've heard you say that being physical is a real treat for us.
Yeah, because we're not physical. We're really not physical. And our physicality is such a small, limited time. It's like going to like a movie came out and it's only going to be out for a week and then you'll never see it again because they didn't replicate it anywhere. So you couldn't watch it on a DVD or what have you. You couldn't see it on the internet anywhere. So you want to go while it's available, see that movie, and then enjoy it while you're there. And then when it's over, you walk out and be like, I'll never do that again. At least for that specific movie.
Right. So you said when you looked into things, so you have this ability to remote view. Is that how you refer to it?
Yes, it's more than just remote viewing too, because I realized it's not just seeing, it's hearing, it's feeling. I can actually taste things. Say that I was remote viewing a pizza box or pizza. All of a sudden I'd be tasting pizza in my mouth. I may or may not see the pizza box. I may or may not see, but I would have something that would come in through my other senses, through my sixth sense, as if all my senses were connected to my sixth sense, like I was physically there, seeing, tasting, smelling, hearing. It's more than just seeing. Sometimes things come in very clearly and other times it just doesn't. It's a feeling or a taste or a smell or what have you.
And have you always had that ability?
Always. Always.
And do you think most of us have it? We just haven't honed in on how to.
I think when you come in,
I guess,
as a small baby, that most of us probably have it, but it's trained out of us at birth and up. I mean, how many people like put your feet on the ground, get out of your imagination. Yeah, you're just making that up. Or no, that's not real. You're convinced that whatever you have is illegitimate. It's wrong thinking, it's wrong in every category, so stop doing it.
What other kind of discoveries have you made about this realm? So you can this a simulation, right? A construct.
Mm-hmm. I know that this is going to be changing drastically. I know that there are two timelines on top of each other running right now. It's like you were creating a video game and you had this video part going, overlaying this part, and depending on what you chose to do, you could jump to this one or this one, like choices made. And I know that there'll come a point where that separates and you'll be either on the higher timeline or the lower timeline, and you will experience whichever one you choose through your actions, through your ability or inability to go to a higher vibration. I know that the most of us will be taking the lower path because they're just not there yet. And there will be a handful of us that actually go to the higher timeline, which means that more things will be allowed to be opened up because you have decided that's what you want to do, because it really is on an individual basis. And for them, we will have died, and for us, they will have died. Nobody's dying here, but everybody's dying. Everyone will go one direction or the other. And for each one of us, we will think that they're gone past whatever. We don't know what happened to them. But in reality, all they did was step into a different frequency as we did. And For us, it's just the next day. And for them, it's just the next day.
Yeah, that's real interesting. And we just have to, like you said, get our frequency where we want it. It's so much about resonance with
Yes,
everything,
everything's about frequency.
manifesting too. Yeah. And like I saw your talk with Cheryl Bailey, and I was actually the one that we manifested this land in just less than
Wow,
48 hours to live on. And it's like,
cool.
wow, that stuff is really real. And it's like anything, like your ability to see, past, present, future, and other places. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And the same thing works with manifesting. What's been your experience with manifesting?
I've always manifested things. I just thought if I really wanted it, this reality would give it to me because I would demand it. And it basically turns out that way. There are some things I cannot do. I cannot influence another if they don't want to be influenced. What I mean is, my influences, I'm giving you a second choice. Would you just stay with what you were giving, or would you take something else? That's my only influence. A second choice, a different way to look at things, a higher you. Now, everyone in here has the ability to do this. A lot of influencing is going on through, of course, the propaganda media, who are telling you what to think, but it's your choice to believe it or not. But we're not the only ones creating here. So the only thing we can do is for ourselves. We can put a hand out and try to help other people, but in the end, we're the only ones we can influence. Everyone else, it's a choice. It's like with anything. Do I want the orange juice or do I want the grape juice? Personal choice.
Right. So the best thing everyone can do is create the best possible reality for yourself. And that kind of seems self-serving, but really that's the most serving thing you can do for the populace.
Yeah.
And
Here's the thing.
I've
If
heard you
you go
also
ahead,
talk about. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, so what was I going to say that I heard you talk about? I forgot now.
Yeah, we're kind of having a really big lag, so I don't know if I'm over talking on you or I'm so sorry.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. You have so much to share. You have so much to share. And well, basically, you kind of remember coming into this reality, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what really happened was a couple of decades ago, actually several decades ago, I popped out of this reality. And when I popped out of it and realized what it was, and then I had that overwhelming feeling of I lost absolutely everything. Nothing was real. I wanted to come back in here so bad because I had little babies. I had just had little children, and I was like, I can't give that up. I wanted it so badly, even though I knew it wasn't real. I came back in here, and at that point, when I came back in, I don't think I did the correct protocols, or maybe I did it on purpose. I don't know, but I remembered a lot of things came back with me when I woke back up in here. It's like, oh crap, now I have to try to continue on, knowing that this is just a simulation. And it changed my perspective on everything. It also, it explained a lot of things, why I have so many traits that are very masculine. Because out of here, I do have a male avatar. I am very male. Which is why I have no problem going on roofs and putting roofs on and shingles and decking boards and doing all kinds of masculine things. Because when I came back in, I came back with who I am on top of who I developed in this character role as being Sonja Testerman.
That's really interesting. So it sounds like you're almost what Jen suggests, that we're on some spaceship plugged into here, and our real avatars. So your real avatar is out there doing something else. And you think we have like a real physical avatar, or that we're like just ethereal?
No, we have a real physical avatar, but they're not as heavily connected to the 3D reality like this place is. This place is a bit different. Out there, we have a lot of abilities, things we can do. Like we don't have to speak. There's one universal language, and it doesn't matter what species you are, we all know it. It's a natural thing. It's like, if I could put this into a perspective, I'd almost say it's like a natural law kind of a thing. Everything can communicate. You can communicate with animals, you can communicate with other species, you can communicate with plants. It doesn't matter. There's just this ability that we do not have in here. Everything is treated differently on a different level. We don't even eat like we do here. That's a whole different scenario. Can you imagine being able to talk to vegetation? How are you eating it? It's talking to you. You could not skin a potato, cut up a carrot, let alone eating animals. It's a whole, we do not eat like that. Our consumption of, I'd say what we consume is more like a vitamin energy drink. It's not what it is here.
Well, and then there's breatharians even here. And some people say, really that's our natural state, is to be breatharian, especially when we were silicon based. So
I will tell you
yeah, I
one
think
thing.
food is a big psyop here for sure.
Yeah, I will tell you one thing. In these carbon-based bodies, because of the degeneration of them, you are not going to ever be a true breatharian. Juicing vegetables and fruits does not make you a breatharian. I have looked entire snow globe, and there is not one true breatharian in here. If you stop consuming vegetables and fruits or whatever you want to put in your mouth, you will die. These carbon-based suits will not allow you to go without eating or drinking. You will die. I've had this question posed to me many times. What about the breatharians? They're lying. They're outright lying, skewing the truth, telling you that they're not eating, but they're juicing. They're doing this or they're doing that. These carbon-based bodies cannot go without sustenance. I will be burying you within several weeks if you don't drink something. If you don't eat something, depending on how fat you are, you'll survive for a while and then you will die. So this whole thing about the breatharians was a psyop, And most people don't want to hear that because they want to believe we are what we used to be. We're not that today. We are what we are today encased in these carbon-based shells. These avatars require sustenance, and there it is.
Well, there you go, folks. She has cleared up the whole breatharian phenomena, which is something, of course, most people, that's very interesting, to think that. But you make sense. We used to be silicon when we were breatharians, and not anymore. So we have different requirements. But they're if you're really, really good with attention, I'm sure, there's one person, like I heard you say, there was one oracle around at the time. There would be one person that could actually do it, because, I always say, if you believe it, then it's true. But, I believe when you say, yeah, most of them are in some kind of sustenance. So, yeah. That's good that you've cleared that up.
I mean, I've had this conversation before, and people get really angry. You can be just indoctrinated in any camp because you really want this to be. It doesn't mean it's here now. We're not experiencing it now. At one point in the figure eight, I see that we'll become that again, but that is not today in our now.
Plus, there's so much delicious food that nature offers us, not the fake processed stuff that they try to get us to consume to really lower our vibration. But yeah, like I try to eat mostly fruit, grow it myself, and fresh. Nothing better than fresh, ripe fruit. There really isn't.
Oh yeah,
and
no.
I'm glad that
I absolutely agree. Anything you grow in your garden tastes so much better than anything you'll ever get at any supermarket. I'm a big one for that too. I love eating. I'm having this 3D experience. I probably won't be having it again. And while I'm here, I'm going to experience eating. And I love cooking and I love baking. And I'm going to have all of that because this will be the only time that I will be having this. And I'm going to enjoy it. While I'm at the park, the amusement park, I'm going to enjoy every ride, and eating is one of them.
There you go. That makes sense. Yeah, because you have the inside knowledge that you're not always going to have this, so make the most of it. And it's
That's
so
it.
much of the nocebo. If you tell yourself something's not good for you, then of course it's not going to be good for you. Like again, if you believe in it's true. So yeah, I think it's a good advice to enjoy this life, and don't use things, of course, but enjoy.
Yeah, I will add this in. I've had a lot of people telling me, don't eat meat, don't eat anything with the face. And it's like, wait a minute. That's not exactly true either. While we're in this reality, while we're in these carbon bodies, we need to be eating something. Look, I eat seafood. I eat fish and shrimp, and on occasion I'll have lobster. I eat chicken. And they're saying that if you eat meat, then it'll lower your vibration and you won't have abilities. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. I have all my abilities, as much as I can possibly have at this point, and I'm eating meat. So where's the truth in that?
Right. Once again, if you believe it, then it's true. But yeah, and this is all zeros and ones anyway, so no one really gets hurt in the end, not even humans. And I always joke that you can even eat your friend. It doesn't matter. It's all
Oh,
zeros and ones, and the
yeah,
simulation,
I don't
whatever you want to
suggest
call it,
eating.
it's very neutral about our experiences here.
I will tell you this too. This place is also to grow you as a being. You have to find out what is morally good and what is morally not good. If somebody tells you that, I just went and murdered 20 people and ate 2 babies, that's perfectly fine. That's not fine. This place is also a school. You have to learn the do's and don'ts of how you treat others, and you should treat others the way you want to be treated. If you don't feel like being beat up or have your arm eaten off of you while you're still alive, I don't suggest doing it to others. Cannibalism is completely out. There's a lot of things in here that are to find out if you have grown enough to raise your vibration of love versus greed, love versus hate, love versus harm. So, and I'm not negating righteous anger, but I am saying that we need to learn our morals in here. You're never going to get out of this place if you literally don't know the difference between right and wrong in your heart. You see what I'm saying?
Right, and we all know the difference between right and wrong, right? I mean, if when we consider something, well, should I be doing this? Usually, if we're even saying that, we probably shouldn't. So I think it's
Yeah.
natural law, right? We
Yes.
know what's right.
Yeah. What's right and what's wrong. Don't harm anyone. Try to treat everyone the way you want to be treated, and don't cheat anyone out of anything thinking you're getting over. Put your envy on the side, and your hate. It doesn't have a place. I mean, if you don't like something, then you can voice your opinion about how you don't like it, because that's your very given right. If you see something that's injustice, you have every right to be angry about that and voice your opinion about that, and be angry while you're doing it. If someone's telling you to come along and just be calm, just be calm. No. Try to smooth you down so they can you can, be complied with at that point. No, that's if you see injustice, you need to raise your voice. You need to scream and yell to the heavens and shout. I mean, a lot of stuff has become very toxic. The fact that you're not even allowed to be angry has become toxic. I'm angry because I just saw you, I don't know, kill that person. I'm angry about it. You had no right to. You had no right to take that life. Oh no, just be calm. It's okay. Just go along with the agenda. Don't say anything. Be calm. Be cool. That's wrong thinking.
Right? They want us to suppress our emotions. So, we're just miserable, because that's a big issue in emotional healing, which is one of the things I talk about a lot on my channel. And the big thing is emotional release, because everybody's just told, don't cry, don't be upset, don't do this. And so they have all these suppressed emotions. And then they get triggered by one incident and let it out all on that one person or whatever, because of that whole issue. So yeah, we have to always, tell people what we really think, as long as we're not hurting anyone else, and defend what's right and what's wrong, and against
Yeah.
what's wrong.
I will say this, one of the reasons that sports were introduced was the release valve mechanism, because of everyone being compliant and never getting angry. So they can go to these arenas, they can vent out for what team they're going to root for and say and do and cheer and rah and scream, because they knew, the controllers knew, that we would blow like pop, like soda pop with a cap on it, if you just keep shaking us and shaking us and shaking us, and we have no place left to vent. So this is why sports were actually introduced into arenas, which I could even go into. Arenas are energy gathering centers. They're actually designed to give the energy back and honed into the negative things that are feeding off of us, I could say. I mean, that's just a whole thing in itself. But that's why sports were introduced. That's why they gave you team A and team B. So you have someone to root for, someone to scream at, someone to curse at, someone to vent all of your energy that's going on in the background in your real life, and you can bring it here. There's your escape valve mechanism.
Yeah, I've always said, if the passion that people have over their sports, if they had it for things that really mattered, the world would change in a day. So that makes sense that that's why they're there. I guess it's a loose harvesting
Yes.
site. And then if you
Yes.
look at like the Super Bowl halftime show and all that, it's so ritualistic too.
Oh yeah, I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in a long time. But yeah, this was all
Yeah,
done. You
I
don't
don't
cry,
either.
you don't feel, you don't do anything. We'll give you the avenue where you can release that so we can benefit from it. Mhm.
So I basically call them the sites instead of the controllers. And the way things are going now, the way so many people are having an opportunity to share information openly, and we're learning that we're divine sovereign beings, you think there's a real shakeup going, and that the parasites know something's up, or are their days numbered? Is there going to be a Phoenix event where they get targeted?
And they've actually been targeted on a very small scale from beginning. It's called lightning, which is why they're always trying to cower and hide underground. It's connected to the Phoenix. The bigger events, of course, are the ones that change topography. I don't know how else to put that, but yeah, a lot of people don't realize. I had saw this when I was listening to Jason say something, and it's like, whoa, let me look into this, and it was like, wow, and I literally saw that lightning, our lightning here in our little snow globe, is a part of that Phoenix, and it targets. It's here all the time. It's the energy that's running this place. But it's like your white cells. Say you were going to get sick or something and picked up some bacteria. No such thing as the V, but there are bacteria. So basically, your white cells are fighting that. Think of the lightning as your white cells trying to do its little thing here and here and here. Another thing that I did see, and I'm going to add this in, with all of these it put that tech into people. And at that point, they can put people on a certain frequency. So their main idea was to use everyone as a decoy. So when the main event comes around, and it will, that all these people running around with this, they put in a certain frequency, and then the Phoenix would be focusing on getting all of the decoys versus the real bad guys.
Yeah, that would make sense. Totally. And this whole fealty thing is huge. And you know, Jason's always talking about being fearless, but it's easier said than done. And that's one thing Cheryl Bailey does is she has this little method with her bracelets to overcome fears. And that's a real challenge. Do you have any methods that you use for that?
I don't really have that many fears, if any, and I'll tell you why. Because whatever's going to happen, you're going to die anyway. Things are never going to stay the same. Everything is in perpetual motion. Most of the time, all your fear comes down to you're going to die and you don't know where you're going to land next. Let me say that slower. You will not know where you're going to land next, which causes you to have fear in A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I found out a long time ago that no matter what happens here, I know where I'm landing next. And it basically got rid of a lot of my fear. Not all of it, because I still have a little bit now and then, but then I just let it go. Because in the end, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Apologies, dogs are chasing some people on our dirt road. But yeah, that's I don't guess because like Sol Luckman said, we all get out alive. And if you don't fear death and imprisonment and torture, because I think if you have enough trauma, whether it's physical pain or whatever, you leave. The real you leaves this avatar and you don't experience it. That's why some people have these blackouts of emotional trauma. And even when people have really bad injuries, often they don't remember the actual injury and the pain of it. So I think that's why I don't feel like I have much fear, because I just look at it from that perspective.
I can say that the average person carries nothing but fear in their heart. They're afraid of this and they're afraid of that and they're afraid of their own shadow.
They really are. Just people are so fearful of just every little thing. I mean, even in their cars, you see the people driving with masks on. You know, if they could wear triple seatbelts, they probably would. And it's just sad. But what do you think? What do you think about the whole EC ratio and our background people? Are there a lot of those around?
Yes. The NPCs, there are NPCs everywhere, and they're always put into your reality so you don't feel like you're alone. This is a simulation, and there are real energy beings in here, but we are spaced apart. Now, just because you have NPCs in your reality, they're also here to help you grow. Don't look at them as like they're worthless. They're very valuable. If it weren't for some of the NPCs giving you scenarios, you would be pretty bored in here. So we do need these NPCs. We go back and forth off of them to grow ourselves, to grow our being, to have scenarios. So I value them just as much as I value myself.
I was muted. I think some of them are really here to help you. I have a friend, and I totally feel like her husband is just the NPC that came here to save her from all her trauma as a young girl. And sometimes the NPCs are put in our past or whatever to help us get to where we need to go. And how much do we have control of how we got here? Like a lot of people say that we chose our families because we wanted to go on a certain path to develop certain characteristics. What's your take on all that?
Okay, I've talked about this before. I see a couple scenarios that are all happening. If you're on a certain vibration and you're coming into this, yes, you can do all of those things. But more likely, most of the people in here now, you're caught in the reincarnation scheme and you basically land where the AI says you land. Because there's so many avatars out there and they can put you in any of these empty avatars to have another experience. waking up and realizing that this is a simulation and that you do not have to go to the next place put for you. The reincarnation scheme was basically a corruption, a trap. We should have never been in a scenario where we were forced to do something. And that's what it became over time. When we fell really hard. And one of the things we lost was who we really are. And that was also a test to see if we could go back to the beings we always were. There's nothing new under the sun. We've known everything from the beginning. We wanted to have a 3D experience, but that doesn't mean we didn't get lost along the way. So I see two kinds of scenarios happening. You come in here like I did, you program what your avatar is going to be, where you land, da-da-da-da-da. Or you get caught in the reincarnation scheme, and at that point you land where you land, depending on where it puts you. So yeah.
Yeah, and people, Jason, though, they say that reincarnation is a positive thing because you get to be every culture, both sexes. You get to have all these experiences, all these opportunities, mistakes, and learn lessons. You don't agree with that? You think we could do it without the reincarnation?
I think that some of us fell so hard that we really did have to have the reincarnation. I don't like it, but some of us have gotten extraordinarily dark, and you know it, look at our reality. And the only thing they can do is go through the reincarnation scheme so they can find themselves again, because no way can they come out being that dark and unleashed. First off, their vibrations would never even allow them to leave this sim. This is a part of the corruption, and it was the individual being who chose to go down this path to become this dark. It's quite the cycle, and the only one that can break it is them. And yeah, they're trapped simply because they won't be able to leave the simulation because their vibration won't match to where they need to go. I mean, I could go into this even deeper, but it's a big story. It's a big scenario, how we ourselves are our own worst enemies, and we have got to figure it out individually to get ourselves out of it. Nobody's going to come in and save you. You have got to save yourself. You have got to raise your vibration. You have got to leave the negativity behind. You need to become more neutral and kind of meet in the middle, because it's on both ends of the spectrum. Either you're too religious and you're off in that la la land, or you're satanic and you're off in. And both of them are just, no, you got to be more even keeled in the middle.
Middle of the road.
Yep.
Yeah. So it depends on the frequency. Like whenever you lose this avatar, you die. Whatever frequency you die at, that'll depend what happens to you, right? Because if you're at that frequency, yeah.
Yep.
So that's why it's so important. People that, right, anyone that's listening to this, you have the opportunity to get it done right this time around, and then you'll have choices. You can reincarnate if you want, right? But it won't be something that you have to do to learn any more lessons. You can learn some really hard, good lessons this time around.
Absolutely. Some people take on a lot in one life, and they could be having 20 lives in one life. And that's why their life is so incredibly hard. And you're like, oh my gosh, everything always happens to you. It's because they want to do the crash course and take it all on. When you're coming from a higher existence and you come into this, you think you are invincible. You can do all of this, but then go ahead and try to do it and live it. That's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, that makes sense, because some people just go through so much adversity, but then they come out really shining and benefiting lots of other people. But then other people, I think they were really evolved before too, like Tom Campbell, who just came in and had everything going easy, but he's still, he's teaching everybody else how to lose fear and how to use their abilities like remote viewing and stuff, and that we all have them, and that, to prove to us that this reality is illusory, that it's a simulation, and we have so much control of it.
Oh, absolutely. I still have to see that Tom Campbell. I've just been so slammed. I haven't been able to watch too many content providers.
Right. I haven't been able to watch much either. This is the first time I've been able to get good internet on this property, and I'm just sitting on the edge of a cliff here. So I'm kind of happy about that. But yeah, there's so much. But after finding archaics, I didn't really want to watch a lot of other stuff. And Jason's just so interesting. What a great way to learn history, I would have actually liked it if he would have been my.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about some of this stuff? Like,
well, I haven't watched.
Go ahead.
I mean, I probably watched about maybe, I'm going to say about 20 of his videos. They're all random. I haven't watched more than that, and I know he's got a huge thing. My biggest thing is that I don't spend a lot of time in cyber world. I have other things going on in my physical reality, and I do Skype meetings also. And between doing Skype meetings and doing stuff like I'm doing now with you, I don't have a whole lot of time. And basically, it's literally that I'm pressed for time. So.
Well, I do have some summaries of all his stuff on my channel, Archaic Summaries playlist, but you probably already know all the stuff that's in there. But what do you think about this whole underground civilization and the parasites are all set up underground? Is that what you find as well?
All right. I did a video almost a year ago and of what this reality looks like, because we're like in a snow globe. That's why I'm always calling it a snow globe on a bigger earth, on a bigger cosmic egg. I don't remember what video that is, but I drew a picture, and then in my video I describe what it's like, and I talk about what's inside in this underground and how enormous it really is and how small we are on the bigger earth. So yeah, I know all about what's going on inside of the bigger earth. I know all about the seas, the land, the different civilizations, the hybrids of humans, because everything started off as human, and then of course hybrid, making chimeras became the thing, and then we had different species, which are just like right now they're making another species, and it's another hybrid, but this one is going to be an AI hybrid, and of course it's called the Homo Borg Genesis. It's the new species that's being made out of humanity. Well, this has happened many times before. If you go back and you look in your mythology, you'll find all kinds of creatures that are half humanoid, or even animal and fish, or human and fish, or all kinds of things. There's nothing new in the sun. Technology is extraordinarily old. We just are so dumbed down, we don't know it. It isn't our in the Vedas, they talk about all kinds of things in the Indian Vedas, which is a religious text, and our mythology. I mean, it's there, but it's all indoctrination of you can't believe in that because I say so. But yeah, hybridization of humanity is now the AI human Homo Borg Genesis, and you can go look it up. There's all kinds of things on the books in America already where it's already been passed in our court systems and stuff. And I think it in 2002 is when they started this stuff. But yeah.
So Jason said that the Anunnaki are the ones who started this whole genetic breeding, campaign, and that eventually they bred with the humans they created, the slave workers, and that's how we were created, but somehow we were able to house these immortal beings. Have you heard much about that?
No, I didn't. I don't know too much about the Anunnaki. All I do is I go and I'll look and I'll see like movies being shown to me about us falling from the beings we were from the crystal cities. And then from there, we were probably the, I don't even know, do you call them? No, doesn't he call them the Anuna? The Anuna? The Anuna. I mean, that would be the next thing that came from the crystal city beings. I don't even know what you call the crystal city beings. Actually, when I look at them and I hear, they don't have words, they have frequencies, sounds. They those Crystal City beings worked on vocals that were like kind of like dolphins, sounds. Weird, no words.
Right, I can believe that. And even we at this point can use telepathy, and a lot of us do it all the time. So but yeah, they use more sonar, it sounds like. And I guess they're called Crystal City beings now officially. So
Oh, is that what
yeah,
they're
and
called?
then
I don't know what they're called. I don't know their names because
no,
we
that's
don't
what you were
have the
calling
ability
them.
to
That's
say
what
it.
you were calling them. What I'm saying.
Yeah. Crystal City beings. I
Since
have
you're the
no
ones that
idea.
So yeah, and then you're saying they dropped down to, and they were the Anuna, and then the Anuna did all their genetic experimentation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. And
Or
from
did
there, it goes on and on and on. And I mean, it's just, uh,
and here we are. So like underground, there's all these different beings. Like Jason says, all the grays and different aliens that people have encounters with or seen or whatever, that they're not from outer space, that they're from underground.
yeah, there's no such thing like that as outer space. When I look outside of this cosmic egg, remember, this is all a simulation on top of it. All I see is salted water. That's what I see. Our entire sky is a holographic image, and I made a video on that when I discovered how the holographics actually work. And that outside of our dome is the red skies. The red skies are outside of this dome we're in. And when those red skies come around, it's because the dome has dropped and the red skies are here. And it's only because the dome is dropped that the red skies are here. And I just found this out not that long ago. And I was like, wow, having deep conversations with my daughter, Wendy, because she has what I have, that ability. And we go into really deep conversations and use each other as a bouncing board. And it's just wonderful that I have someone like that in my reality.
And your daughter, so you probably knew each other outside of here, I'm guessing, get more done. And the red skies, that sounds like the Phoenix phenomena. So it's interesting how your work really pieces together with the Archaic's work, and other people's work do as well. So yeah, it's just such an interesting time that we're in. And with the, do you think there will be the Phoenix event in 2040, or do you think something's going to happen before then?
I don't know. I kept thinking something major was going to happen in 2022. And I kept thinking, is it going to be the red skies? No, it wasn't the red skies. But you know what majorly did happen? People started to awake. People started to question. The narrative started falling. And not for everyone, because there is a part of our populace that will never wake up. But that's what the main event was. The consciousness started waking up. Overall, the consciousness is waking up, because if it hadn't been waking up, we would all now be the Homo Borg sapiens, or whatever you want to call them, Homo Borg Genesis. Because that's what the dark wanted.
Right. They wanted all of us to be that, right? But now they're only going to get a portion of that. And will some people say we'll split into two different paradigms, kind of like a new Earth and an old Earth. What do you think about that?
I see that it's the timeline division. You'll either be on the dark timeline division, or you'll be on the more awake light timeline division, and wouldn't want to be in the dark. And when I say in the dark, I'm talking about the dark because you literally are blind. You cannot see what is right in front of you, and you might as well be in the dark.
That doesn't sound fun at all. So
No.
yeah, this is the time to wake up and to try to manage your fears, eliminate them as much as possible. Find those judgments about yourself, like I'm not good enough, I never have enough, those kinds of things, because thoughts are so powerful, and your subconscious and your unconscious are even more powerful. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. There was this old indoctrination that was given as a saying, and I remember hearing it as a child, and I'm going to say it now. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I'm here to tell you that is not true. Sticks and stones might break your bones, and words will absolutely destroy you, because the vibration coming out of your mouth, I mean, everything is frequency. Can you imagine? Because the words can break your psyche.
Yeah, they don't call it spelling for nothing.
Yep. Yep.
Right. That's why they call it spelling. It's casting spells. And
Absolutely.
even your thoughts are very strong, and your words are so strong. And to have that self-awareness and that mindfulness and that awakeness is huge. And it's just so great that so many people are getting to that point now. So I asked earlier if you saw that if you thought that we could do 100 monkey effect to switch the paradigm. Do you see something like that happening before 2040?
Yeah, I do see that happening now. And I see that it's time is also an illusion. So I do know that time has sped up. So what we perceive as a 24-hour day is now probably a 16 or less hour day. But in our psyche, in this sim, we still perceive it as 24 hours. If you are awake, you'll realize that your time is gone. You don't even have enough time in the day to get everything done. And before you know it, you go to sleep and you wake up and you felt like you've only slept for several hours. Your time will tell you in this physical reality that you've been asleep for 7 or 8 hours, but in reality, you've probably pulled 4 if you're lucky. And because of this speeding up of time, are we where we should be, or are we slung like a slingshot, slinging you ahead on a faster trajectory because we're waking up, because the paradigm is changing, because we're changing? We are the paradigm that's changing. And so we're changing our physical environment. Even though we perceive it as a 24-hour day, is it really? No, it's not. So then you have to wonder, where are we in the scheme of things?
Right. This reality is not what you think, right? And I can definitely attest to the days just not having enough time to get anything done. It's like, it's already getting dark. What? Oh man, I didn't get much done today. So yeah, it's such an interesting realm that we're in, and so much to discover. So yeah, you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I guess that's it.
Well, it was really great talking to you. I want everybody to please go check out her channel, the Tree of Knowledge, and her Essentials playlist is excellent. And I see you're putting out more stuff, and you feel like you have kind of a mission, right, with social media to get this information out here, correct?
Yes, yes. I wanted to put my channel down so many times because I just want to put out stuff that I haven't said before, because there's so much. And with a lot of people waking up, there's other channels that they can listen to that are equally relevant or even more, it doesn't matter. And I just wanted to start doing videos where I only put out new information. I know there's nothing new under the sun. The basic thing is that we are slaves. We need to wake up and get off this slave plantation. And that's the base thing. And that will never change until we change it. So, Julia, thank you for having me. I enjoyed being here and talking to you.
Thank you so much, Sonja. Such a privilege. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening. And remember to always focus on what you want. Help others if you can. And we will talk to you next.